So I've painted the front of the windscreen frame with the cold galvanizing paint. It looks a lot better than the silver paint that was on there before. Obviously not quite as nice as a fully galvanized frame, but probably also better than the rusty partly galvanized frame that was there. So it's a bit of a compromise, but on a budget build I think it's okay. The windows have been cleaned and they're now sat on a bead of silicone around the frame. I've cleaned up the little beading strips as well, so the next job is to lift these strips off, put another bead of silicone in there, and then rest these in place and then screw them back on. So the windscreen glass is now in the windscreen frame, and I've assembled all the strips around the side. I'll fully tighten it all up when the silicone's fully set, just to make sure that I don't crack the glass now. So I've assembled a lot of the panels and bodywork and the lights, so I'll just go around now and have a look at some of those details. The bumper and towing eyes are the same as ones that were on before. All I've done is strip the old paint off. Where there's a bit of corrosion, I've just repaired it with some spray on zinc, cold galvanizing stuff. I think it looks a lot better. The lights are all fitted, so I took them apart, cleaned them up, polished the chrome up, and just cleaned all the mud and gunge off the back. The radiator's now in position. I fitted new hoses to the radiator. The top one was okay, but the bottom one I had to cut to get off. It's a very tight fit in there as well. I cleaned the bonnet latch up as well, and also cleaned the little warning "Do not weld" sign up as well, and they were fixed on after it was sprayed. I sprayed the bodywork with coach enamel, and this is the original marine blue colour that the Land Rover was. It's not perfect, but it's okay, probably good enough. The tank has been cleaned up inside and out. It was wire brushed and has now been refitted, so it's got the 3 fasteners at the front, and then I put a new resilient fastener on the back, or resilient mount on the back, so it's not stressed by the twisting of the frame. It's got the original sender in it. I did actually buy a new one to put on, but I've got what looks like a 3-wire one rather than a 1-wire one. So I may do a bit more investigation to see if I can fit that unit. I'm now starting work on the tub at the back. So the first job is to take all these galvanized cappings off. So I've drilled most of the rivets out. As you can see, it's been painted this lovely kind of hammerite colour. And I've drilled all the rivets out. So we'll take this off, strip it down, see what the original galv looks like. If it's terribly rusty underneath, we'll patch it up with the cold galvanizing. Otherwise we'll leave it how it is and just give it a bit of a polish and clean up. So looking in the driver's side wheel arch, you can see the cleaned up light units, new fasteners for the bodywork. You can see that over there I've had to rivet an aluminium patch in where the original hole in the bodywork got so torn out. The gearbox, the steering box cover was missing, so I've got a new one of those. You can see the original galvanized guard in there. You'll notice that the leaf springs have got these tags on. That's because at the moment the shackle pins located there aren't tight, so I'll tighten them up and then I'll put some weight on the wheels and I'll have to rock the Land Rover out a bit and then get them properly tight up when it's all settled down. The majority of the steel work is now off the tub, and I've put it out in the garden ready to clean it up, and it gives us a chance to look underneath. So you can see that these cross members are in pretty bad shape, particularly that one at the bottom. It's been rusting, so I've got some replacement ones of those. So we'll give this a good pressure wash down, and then assess the rest of the damage, and then probably sand it up ready for paint. These are the various cappings that are off the Land Rover. You can see they've been painted at some point. It's not a terrible job, but I'm going to strip the paint off and see what the galvanising is like underneath. The tub's been cleaned off and sanded down, cleaned the bottom off, and then we've cut out the areas of corrosion on the bottom. So you can see the 3 areas of corrosion. I've cut out some 2mm thick aluminium and drilled some rivet holes around the outside. Now we're going to fit these to the floor of the tub and rivet them on. So this is the first plate held in position with clecos and then drilled through. So we'll rivet it and we'll put a bit of silicone around the edges to seal it as well. So the patches are riveted in on the bottom of the tub. It's all sanded down, degreased, ready for spraying, as are the final coat on the bonnet and the little bits of trim. The compressor I'm using is my granddad's old 1946 Dunlop compressor, and yeah, it's a reasonable bit of kit. I've stripped it down, pressure tested the tank, and cleaned out the crankcase and various bits and pieces. I could probably do with a new motor, but other than that, it's working well. I've now sprayed it with etch primer and undercoat, and now I'm going to do the top coat. I've sprayed the tub and then I've dry fitted all the cappings that have been cleaned up earlier. So the next job is now to put some more clecos in and rivet the cappings in place. So here is some progress part way through the riveting. So all the cappings are held on with clecos. I'm using one of these air over hydraulic riveters, and for £45 I paid for it. It's been great, really. It saved my hands. I started using just a standard manual riveter, and my hands started to ache, and I nicked my skin so many times doing it that I thought, stuff it, I'll get the decent tool. A lot of the bodywork has now been assembled. I've put the tub back on, put the seat box in, put the floor in, put the transmission tunnel in, and I've put the seats in as well, and I've fitted all the bits and pieces, riveted them all back on to the tub. The lights and all the fittings have been screwed and riveted back into place, and the tow bars back on. Underneath the Land Rover, I fitted the cross members underneath the tub. You can see that they're in place there. I forgot to film fitting those, so it's a bit of a hard view. But I've screwed those in instead of using the kind of rivicles, so they can be removed in the future. So I started to work on the rear door. First job is to strip it all down, take the glass out, and wire wheel all the steel bits and see what condition they're in. There's a bit of rust on this, you can see down there, and there. Just needs a general tidy up, really. The handlebar there is bent. Not terrible shape, but could just do with a bit of a tidy up. The rear door has been stripped of all the various latches and components and bits. Here you can see probably the worst bit of damage to any of the 3 doors. So obviously water's been collecting in here and rusting through, so I've peeled back the aluminium skin. And we'll probably chop here and here, and then weld in this replacement section. I cut the damaged section out, and I've welded in the replacement section. It's not quite the same size, so there's a bit of a step there, but I guess it doesn't matter. And I've welded a little plate over here, and there was a big hole here, and I've cleaned it up a bit to make it look a bit more regular. I've left that there as a drain, I've drilled a drain in there, and there's the original drain there as well. I've also wire wheeled all the rust off and put some rust converter stuff on all the areas I can't get to. All the door panels have been prepped, sanded and filled, as well as all the various door hinge components. So I'm just degreasing them all, and we'll run them over with a tack cloth, and then we'll spray some etch primer. The old door tops had all the seals and glass and things stripped out of them. You can see the kind of condition, the amount of rust and rubbish that was in there. So these definitely had to go. We've now rebuilt the new door tops with the same glass and the same seals and runners and things in. The window pane's been Sikaflexed in, and then I've just cleaned up all the bits of aluminium and the kind of fabric covered runners, so I'm just reusing the same ones, and then they've been replaced with new screws. So it should be a lot more sealed and a lot more solid than the previous door tops. The door bottoms have been cleaned up, and you saw the painting previously, and they've been rebuilt. I've cleaned all the latches out. They are essentially sealed units, or at least riveted units, so I've cleaned them all out with clutch cleaner and then re-oiled them. The galvanized cappings have been re-riveted on, and the same is true for the back door. The glass has been refitted, and all the little plates and things painted and put back. So I've painted the cab and put new door seals back into it and bolted it up. It's got new gaskets on the bottom and the top, so that's a lot better than it was. The paint condition wasn't too bad. I actually just brush painted this because I didn't fully strip it down. I've also dry fitted one of the doors there, and you can see it's got a new wing mirror on it, so instead of the wing mirror at the front, it's got the larger Defender style wing mirror. I prefer the look of the ones at the front, but practically they're pretty useless really, so I've put a sensible wing mirror on it. What do you think of the new Land Rover?
It's good.